Now, France is an ally of the United States, and now they are considering to send the troops on the Greenland as the Trump has threatened to take the Greenland from the Denmark. Now, France is an ally of the United States, but France is and also the ally of the Denmark. So, in case of choosing between both of these countries, I assume that France will choose Denmark because United States under the Trump administration is not giving that much importance to the European countries. So most of the European countries, important European countries like France and Germany, are considering to rely on their own, not the United States, because there could be another leader as well. Like if the Trump is a leader that says that America is first, and then there could be the other leader as well, and the Trump, there is a high possibility that the Trump may pull out the United States from the NATO, and if the United States is out of the NATO, then NATO is nothing. NATO without the United States is nothing. That's the fact. As the France is now discussing to deploy the troops on the Greenland, although the Trump says multiple times that we are not going to take the Greenland or Canada from the military actions, we will consider economic sanctions or tariffs or these kind of things, but we are not going to take the Greenland or Canada or Panama Canal with the military action. So still France is considering to deploy the troops on the Greenland as the Trump threatened to take the Greenland from the Denmark. Now Denmark is a NATO country and obviously a European country as well. So choosing Denmark and deploying soldiers on the Greenland, this means that France is ready to stand or fight against the United States if United States goes against their allies like Denmark or any other European countries. And this is very significant because few months ago, the time when Trump hasn't taken over, no European countries were thinking like that. Everyone was thinking that we and America are good friends to each other and we will support each other in difficult times. So I assume that in future we will have a separate bloc for the European countries as well, because there are the two blocs in the world right now. The first one is led by China, which is Russia, Iran, North Korea, and the other countries like Brazil, South Africa, and some other countries. The second one was led by the United States, and it includes the whole European countries and Japan, Korea, Taiwan. Obviously, they now the American bloc will get much smaller because they will left with Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. Those countries which are giving benefit to the United States, and the United States are giving benefit to them as well. Like it is very much important for Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan to have a good friendship with the United States. And now the West and the European countries are considering to make their own bloc. Then we have a third bloc as well, which will be led by possibly France or Germany or United Kingdom. So I think that this is going to happen because most of the European leaders are now considering to make their own NATO, not dependent on the United States for their self-defense. As now the Trump is a leader that says America first, and now there's a whole narrative building inside the United States that we should consider the Americans first, and there we should not spend our money on the European countries, on Ukraine or any other countries. And now I think that the West has to think about itself, the European countries has to think about itself, that if there is any other leader like this, and there is a high possibility that the next leader who come into the United States will stand on this narrative, because their public stand on this narrative that we have to protect ourselves. We should not protect the whole world, we should not protect the European countries, we should protect ourselves, and our taxpayer money should be spent on ourselves, on the United States. So I think that there is a high possibility that the next American leader or the next president will be on the same kind of thought. So this is why I think that the European countries and most of the European countries are considering to make their own blocks. And now France is considering to send their troops on the Greenland, although there is no possibility of war, but still we can imagine that now they are discussing or considering to send the troops. So maybe 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead, the European countries has their own bloc, and European countries fight for their own interest, not for the United States interest, and the United States fight for its own interest, not the European countries interest. And then there is a third bloc of China as well. Maybe the Western countries shake hand with China, because most of these countries are doing it, like United Kingdom is doing it, and Germany is also trying to do it. So maybe they go for the China side, and we still have two blocks, but the China's bloc get bigger and bigger.